The rain in Millbrook didn't fall. It hung, heavy, gray. Like the sky couldn't decide whether to let go or hold on forever. The drops suspended in the air just long enough to make everything slick before they finally gave in to gravity. Tom Mercer felt the cold in his bad knee before he felt it anywhere else. He stood at the edge of the overgrown field behind the old community center, one hand stuffed in his jacket pocket, the other holding a worn leather leash that hadn't been clipped to anything in over a year. At his feet sat Gunnar, 6 years old, German shepherd with wolf-gray fur that darkened to black along his spine, former canine, retired when Tom retired, or when Tom was retired. The distinction didn't matter much anymore. The dog's ears were forward, alert. Just checking the perimeter, Tom said to no one. To the rain, to the dog, to himself. Gunnar's tail didn't wag. Tom didn't know it yet, but the town's oldest secret was buried 30 feet away, under a playground slide that hadn't moved in 2 decades. Tom had moved to Millbrook 8 months ago, not running from anything. Not really. Just done with the city, done with the noise, done with the department that put him on medical leave and never quite figured out how to bring him back. 23 years with Chicago PD. Detective. Homicide. Good at his job until the day he wasn't. Until the case that went wrong. Until Sarah. He didn't think about Sarah anymore. Tried not to. The way he tried not to think about a lot of things. Millbrook was small. Population 3,000. The kind of place where everyone knew your business before you unpacked your first box. But they left him alone. And Tom liked being left alone. The rental house was cheap. 2 bedrooms, one for him, one for Gunnar's dog bed, and the boxes Tom hadn't opened. The backyard ended where the old community center property began. No fence, just a gradual shift from maintained grass to wild growth. Gunnar walked the property line every morning. Tom followed. Ritual, routine. The things that kept you moving when you didn't have a reason to move. This morning was different. Gunnar stopped at the tree line, sat, stared. "What is it?" Tom asked. The dog's muscles were coiled, not aggressive, wary. Beyond the trees, barely visible through the overgrowth, was the old playground. Tom had seen it before. Rusted swing set, faded plastic slide, a merry-go-round that hadn't spun since the community center closed in 2005. Budget cuts, or declining population, or both. The town council had talked about demolishing it, then talked about renovating it, then stopped talking about it altogether. Now it just sat, forgotten. "Come on," Tom said, turning back toward the house. Gunnar didn't move. Tom stopped, looked back. The dog's eyes were fixed on something Tom couldn't see. In 6 years of working together, Gunnar had never refused a command. Not once. He'd tracked suspects through warehouse districts. Found evidence in dumpsters. Sat through 12-hour stakeouts without complaint. But now he wouldn't take another step toward that playground. "Gunnar, come." The dog whined, low, almost inaudible. Then he turned and walked back toward the house. Tom stood in the rain for another moment, looking at the rusted playground equipment through the trees, feeling that old familiar itch, the one that said something wasn't right. He followed his dog home, but he didn't stop thinking about it. The Millbrook Community Center had been a hub once. Basketball leagues, senior bingo nights, summer camp for kids whose parents worked. The playground had been the crown jewel. Brand new in 1998, funded by a local businessman named Marcus Holloway, who'd made his money in commercial real estate and wanted to give back to his hometown. Tom learned all this from Betty Parsons, the woman who ran the county clerk's office, and the unofficial historian of everything that had ever happened in Millbrook. He'd gone into town for supplies, coffee, dog food, the essentials. Betty had been behind the counter at Morton's General Store, rearranging the magazine rack like she was curating a museum exhibit. "You're Mercer," she'd said. Not a question. The detective. Former detective. "Heard you were from Chicago. My sister's daughter lives in Evanston. You know it?" "I know it." Betty had nodded like that settled something, like knowing the same suburb created a bond. Tom had mentioned the community center. Casual, just asking about the property, whether anyone still used it. Betty's face had shifted, just slightly, a shadow passing over. "Been closed 20 years this November," she'd said. "Shame. Used to be the heart of this town." "What happened?" "Budget mostly. State funding dried up. Town couldn't afford the insurance." She'd paused, rearranged a magazine she'd already arranged. "And after what happened with the Holloway girl, people just stopped going." Tom had waited. Let the silence do the work. "Emily Holloway," Betty had continued. "Marcus's daughter. Disappeared in 2005, 13 years old. Last seen leaving the community center after volleyball practice." She'd looked up then, met his eyes. "They never found her." "Police investigate?" "State police came in, FBI too. Searched for months. Nothing." Betty's voice had dropped. "Marcus never recovered. Lost his business trying to fund private investigators. Wife left him, moved back to Cleveland. He died 3 years ago. Heart attack." "The case still open?" "Officially, I suppose. But no one's looked at it in years. What would be the point?" She'd handed him his change. "Some things stay buried, Mr. Mercer. Sometimes that's for the best." Tom had driven home with Betty's words echoing in his head. Some things stay buried. But Gunner's behavior wasn't about something buried in the past. It was about something buried in the ground. Tom didn't sleep that night. He lay in bed listening to the rain hammer the roof, listening to Gunner pace downstairs, the dog's nails clicking on the hardwood, back and forth, back and forth. At 3 a.m, Tom gave up. He pulled on his jeans and boots, found a flashlight in the kitchen drawer, grabbed his old tactical jacket from the closet. Gunner was at the back door before Tom reached it. "You want to go now?" Tom asked. The dog's tail moved. Once. Uncertain. Tom opened the door. The rain had stopped. The air was cold and clear. The moon was 3/4 full, casting everything in silver-gray light. They walked across the yard, into the tree line, through the overgrown grass that soaked Tom's jeans to the knees. The playground emerged from the darkness like a shipwreck. Closer now, Tom could see the details. The swing set's chains had rusted through on one side, leaving a single swing hanging at an angle. The merry-go-round was buried in dead leaves and debris. The slide was a curved plastic tube, once bright blue, now faded to the color of old bones. Gunner stopped 20 feet away. Tom turned on the flashlight, swept the beam across the equipment. Nothing. Just decay. Just time doing what time does. "What is it, boy?" Tom kept his voice low. "What do you smell?" Gunner whined again. That same low sound. His eyes were fixed on the slide. Tom moved closer. The dog didn't follow. The slide was maybe 8 feet tall, plastic tube design. The kind kids climbed up a metal ladder and slid down through darkness before shooting out the bottom. Tom walked around it, checking angles, looking for anything unusual. The base of the slide had settled into the ground. 20 years of rain and snow and seasonal shifts had created a shallow depression around the exit. Dead leaves had piled up. Mud had hardened and cracked. Tom crouched, played the flashlight beam under the slide's exit. Something caught the light. Not metal, not plastic, fabric. Tom's pulse kicked up, that old instinct, the one that had made him good at his job, the one that whispered when something was wrong. He reached under the slide, pulled away leaves and mud. The fabric was canvas, stiff with age and moisture. A corner of something, a bag maybe, or a case. Tom looked back at Gunnar. The dog was sitting now, watching, waiting. "Good boy," Tom said quietly. "Good boy." He pulled harder. The object resisted, wedged tight after years of settling. Tom had to lie on his stomach and reach both arms under the slide to get leverage. It came free with a sucking sound, mud and roots releasing their grip. Tom dragged it into the moonlight, a canvas duffel bag. Military style, olive drab, zipper corroded shut, heavy. Tom's hands were shaking, not from cold. He looked at Gunnar. The dog was standing now, tail rigid, every muscle tense. Tom unsheathed his pocket knife, cut the zipper, peeled back the canvas. The flashlight beam revealed what was inside. A laptop. Old. Maybe 15 years. The kind with a thick plastic shell and a trackpad instead of a mouse. A manila folder. Edges water-damaged but contents protected by plastic sleeves. A cell phone, flip style, ancient, and a videotape. Mini DV format. Labeled in faded marker, November 2nd, 2005. Tom sat back on his heels, staring at the evidence 20 years had tried to erase. This wasn't someone's forgotten belongings. This was someone's insurance policy. This was evidence someone had hidden, and someone else had been looking for. Tom carried the duffel bag back to his house. Gunnar followed close. Closer than usual. Like he knew they'd crossed a line. Found something that changed everything. Tom spread the contents on his kitchen table, used paper towels to clean away the worst of the mud. The laptop was a Dell, old enough that Tom doubted it would power on. The battery would be dead. The hard drive probably corrupted. The folder contained photographs, maybe 30 of them, printed on photo paper. Water damaged around the edges, but still clear enough to see. Tom went through them slowly. They were surveillance photos, all taken from a distance, all showing the same thing: the Millbrook Community Center, the parking lot, adults arriving, adults leaving, close-ups of license plates, and kids, teenagers mostly, entering and leaving the building at odd hours, late evening, early morning. Tom felt something cold settle in his stomach. The cell phone was locked, password protected. Vintage enough that Tom couldn't even charge it without finding the right cord. But the videotape. Tom had a player somewhere. He'd kept it from the old days. Back when surveillance footage still came on tapes. Back before everything went digital. He found it in a box in the spare room. Took him 20 minutes to set it up. Connect it to his laptop through an old capture card he'd also kept. Gunnar lay on the kitchen floor, watching, waiting. Tom pressed play. The footage was grainy, shot from a distance, through a window, night vision quality. The timestamp read, November 2nd, 2005, 11:47 p.m. The location was clear. The community center, a room Tom didn't recognize. Office, maybe, or storage. The camera was stationary, hidden. For the first 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then the door opened. A man entered, late 40s, suit, a nice watch. Tom recognized him from the photos Betty had shown him on her phone when he'd asked about Marcus Holloway. But this wasn't Marcus. This was David Kessler, the town mayor in 2005. Still the mayor now. Tom had seen his face on a welcome sign driving into town. Kessler was talking to someone off camera, gesturing, agitated. Then a second person entered the frame. A teenage girl, maybe 13, 14, dark hair, basketball jersey with number 7. Tom's chest tightened. The girl looked scared. Kessler was standing too close, talking too intensely, reaching for her arm. She pulled away. He grabbed harder. She tried to run. The video went black. Tom sat frozen, staring at the empty screen. The timestamp on the video was November the 2nd. Emily Holloway disappeared November 3rd. Tom rewound, watched again, paused on the girl's face. The jersey number was clear, 7. He pulled out his phone, searched for Emily Holloway. Found an old news article from 2005, complete with school photo. Same face, same dark hair, same terrified expression Tom had just seen on the video. Tom looked at the pile of evidence on his table. This wasn't just surveillance. This was someone building a case, and someone had buried it before they could use it. Tom picked up the manila folder again, looked at the water-damaged label on the inside flap. 3 words, barely legible. Property of J. Walsh. Tom knew that name, not personally, but every cop knew it, knew the history. Detective James Walsh, State Police, based out of Springfield. Lead investigator on the Emily Holloway case. Died in a single-car accident, December 2005, 1 month after Emily disappeared. Tom had read about it years ago. A tragedy. Good cop. Dedicated investigator. Lost control on a wet road. Drove into a ravine. Accident. That's what the report said. But looking at the evidence spread across his kitchen table, Tom wasn't so sure. Detective Walsh had been building something. Had been close to something. Close enough to be dangerous. Tom stood, paced his kitchen. Gunner's eyes followed him. Someone killed her, Tom said out loud. Someone killed Emily, someone powerful, and Walsh knew. He hid the evidence, probably meant to come back for it, but he never got the chance. Gunner's tail thumped once against the floor. Tom looked at the dog, at the evidence, at the clock on the microwave that read 4:37 a.m. He knew what he had to do. He knew it was dangerous. He knew it could cost him everything. But Emily Holloway deserved justice. Walsh deserved justice. And Tom Mercer wasn't the kind of man who walked away from the truth, even if the truth had been buried for 20 years. Morning came cold and bright. Tom didn't call the police. Not yet. 20 years was a long time. Evidence could disappear. Memories could be rewritten. And if David Kessler had spent 2 decades as mayor, he had resources, connections, power. Tom needed to understand what he was dealing with before he made a move. He made coffee, fed Gunner, sat at his kitchen table and went through the photographs again. Slowly this time, taking notes. The surveillance photos showed a pattern. Adults arriving at the community center. Always the same ones. Always late at night. Always when the center was supposed to be closed. Tom recognized some of the faces from around town. Bill Morrison, who owned the hardware store. Angela Chen, who taught at the high school. Pastor Harold Webb from the Methodist Church. And Kessler. Always Kessler. The photos showed them arriving separately, entering through the back door. The door that faced away from the Sukti street. Away from witnesses. Tom counted the dates on the photos. They spanned 6 months. April through October 2005. Walsh had been watching, documenting, building something. But what? Tom turned to the laptop. It wouldn't power on, not surprising. But the hard drive might still be intact. Data recovery was possible. Expensive, but possible. Tom needed help, but he needed someone he could trust, someone outside Millbrook's sphere of influence. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through old contacts, found the name he was looking for. Marcus Chen, tech specialist, worked out of St. Louis. Tom had used him on 3 cases in Chicago. Good at his job, discreet, didn't ask questions. Tom sent a text. Need a hard drive recovered. Old laptop. Urgent. Can you help? The response came back in under a minute. Yeah, how old we talking? Tom, 2005, Dell, probably water damage. Chen, ouch, not impossible. Send it overnight, I'll see what I can do. Tom, thanks, I owe you. Chen, you owe me more than that, but we'll talk about it later. Tom found a box, packed the laptop carefully, wrapped it in bubble wrap, addressed it to Chen's lab in St. Louis. The post office wouldn't open for another 3 hours. Tom used the time to study the videotape again. He watched it 5 times, frame by frame, looking for details. The room in the video had distinctive features: wood paneling on the walls, a bulletin board with flyers, a calendar showing November 2005, and a window. Small, high on the wall, frosted glass. Tom paused on that frame, stared at the window. He'd seen that window before. Tom opened his laptop, pulled up Google Maps, found the Millbrook Community Center, switched to satellite view. The building was a single-story structure, L-shaped. The main entrance faced the street. The gymnasium and recreational areas were visible, but there was a section at the back that wasn't obvious from the street view. Tom zoomed in. The resolution wasn't great, but he could make out details. A small addition, connected to the main building but separate. 1 story, narrow windows, office space, administrative offices. Tom switched to street view, drove the virtual car around the building. The back section had a separate entrance, concrete stairs, metal door, no windows at ground level, but higher up, near the roofline. Frosted glass windows, same windows from the video. Tom sat back, mind racing. Walsh had hidden a camera in the administrative offices, had recorded what happened in that room, had recorded enough to prove something, to charge someone. But the video Tom had seen only showed the beginning, the confrontation, the grab. It didn't show what happened next. Tom looked at the videotape. It was only 40 minutes long. If the camera had kept recording, there should be more footage. Unless someone had taken the tape before Walsh could retrieve it. Unless Walsh had hidden it. Saved only the most damaging part. Unless... Tom stopped, rewound his thinking. The duffel bag had been under the playground slide. Not in Walsh's car, not in his office, not in an evidence locker, under a playground slide, hidden in a place no one would think to look. Walsh had put it there deliberately, had known he was in danger, had known he needed insurance, but he died before he could use it. Tom looked at Gunner. The dog was lying by the back door, watching the tree line, still alert. "We're going back," Tom said. "Tonight. We're going to search that whole area, because if Walsh hid one thing, he might have hidden more." Gunner's ears perked up. Tom checked the time. 7:15 a.m. He had a long day ahead of him. Tom spent the day preparing. He drove into the city. Not to Millbrook proper, but to the county seat 30 miles away. Found a hardware store where no one knew his face. Bought a metal detector. A good one. Professional grade. The kind treasure hunters used. He bought a shovel, heavy duty, and work gloves, and a headlamp. On the way back, he stopped at a diner, ordered coffee and a sandwich he didn't taste, sat in a corner booth and made a list. Things he knew. Emily Holloway disappeared November 3, 2005. Detective James Walsh was investigating. Walsh had surveillance evidence showing Mayor Kessler with Emily the night before she disappeared. Walsh hid the evidence at the community center playground. Walsh died in December 2005. Case went cold. Kessler remained mayor for 20 years. Things he needed to know. What happened to Emily after the video ended? Where is her body? Who else was involved? Why the community center was a hub for suspicious activity? What Walsh discovered that got him killed? Tom stared at the list. Added one more line. Who knew Walsh was getting close? He finished his coffee, paid cash, drove home. Gunnar was waiting at the door. Tom let him out, watched him pace the yard. The dog kept looking toward the tree line, toward the playground. Tom understood. Some instincts you couldn't ignore, some truths you couldn't unsee. They ate dinner. Tom grilled a chicken breast and shared half with Gunnar. They sat on the back porch and watched the sun set through the trees. When darkness came, Tom stood, grabbed his equipment, clicked the headlamp on. "Let's go find the truth," he said. Gunnar was already moving. The playground looked different at night, more sinister, the shadows deeper, the rust more pronounced, like the place itself knew what secrets it was keeping. Tom turned on the metal detector, swept the ground around the slide, got hits immediately. Old change, bottle caps, a rusted bike chain. He moved in expanding circles, methodical, covering every inch. Gunnar sat at the edge of the playground, watching, not interfering, just present. The metal detector screamed at a spot near the merry-go-round. Tom dropped to his knees, started digging. The ground was soft. Recent rain had made it easy. 6 inches down, his shovel hit something. Solid. Metal. Flat. Square. Tom cleared away more dirt. Found the edges. Worked the shovel underneath. Pried it up. A metal box. Military ammunition can. Waterproof. Locked with a combination dial. Tom carried it to the slide. Set it in the beam of his headlamp. Tried the lock. It didn't budge. He looked at Gunnar. "Any ideas?" The dog tilted his head. Tom smiled despite himself, then looked at the lock again. Thought about Walsh, about what numbers would mean something to a cop. Badge number? Too obvious. Date of birth? Too personal. Case number? Tom pulled out his phone, searched for Emily Holloway case number, found an old news article that referenced it. 2005, 11/03, November 3rd, 2005, the day she disappeared. Tom tried the combination. 1103. The lock clicked open. Inside was another videotape, mini DV format, same as before. But this one was labeled differently. November 3rd, 2005, full recording. And underneath the tape, wrapped in plastic, was a handwritten letter. 3 pages, single-spaced, Walsh's handwriting. Tom read it by headlamp. "To whoever finds this, if you're reading this, I'm probably dead." That sounds melodramatic, but I'm a realist. I know what I'm dealing with. I know the risk I'm taking. My name is Detective James Walsh, State Police, badge number 4721. I've been investigating the disappearance of Emily Holloway for the past month. This letter, along with the evidence I've collected, represents everything I've discovered. I'm hiding this because I don't trust my own department anymore. I don't trust the local police. I don't trust anyone in Millbrook. What I've found is bigger than one missing girl. It's a network, a system, and it involves people at the highest levels of this community. The Millbrook Community Center has been used for years as a meeting place, not for basketball games or bingo nights, for something else, something organized, something protected. I have evidence of at least 6 adults who were using the center's administrative offices to conduct illegal activities with minors. Mayor David Kessler was at the center of it. He had keys. He controlled access. He vetted participants. Emily Holloway discovered what was happening. She was a volunteer at the center, helped with youth programs, smart kid, observant. She saw something, recorded something on her phone, threatened to go public. They couldn't let that happen. On November 2nd, Kessler confronted her. I have video of that confrontation. You've probably seen it by now if you found the duffel bag. But what happened next is on this tape. The full recording. It's 90 minutes long. It's damning. It's proof. Emily didn't disappear. She was murdered, and her body was disposed of in a way that would never be found. I've documented everything. Every face, every vehicle, every date. But I can't move forward with charges because I've been warned off. Directly. By people who shouldn't know what I know. My investigation has been compromised. Someone in my department is feeding information to Kessler. I'm putting this evidence here because no one will think to look for it. Kids haven't played on this playground in years. The community center is abandoned. Nature is taking over. But someone will find it eventually. Maybe in a year, maybe in 10, maybe in 50. Whoever you are, please finish this. Emily deserves justice. Her father deserves peace. And the people who did this need to be held accountable. The video will tell you everything you need to know. Watch it. Then take it to the FBI. Not the local police, not state police. FBI, specifically, Special Agent Robert Kirkland in the Springfield office. He's the only person I trust. Good luck. And be careful. These people have already killed to protect their secret. They won't hesitate to kill again. Detective James Walsh, November 15th, 2005. Tom folded the letter. Hands shaking, not from cold, from rage, from grief, from the weight of what he was holding. He looked at Gunnar. The dog was standing now, alert, staring past Tom, toward the tree line. Tom heard it then, the sound Gunnar had detected. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from the direction of Tom's house. Tom killed his headlamp, grabbed the ammunition box, backed toward the slide. Gunnar moved in front of him, protective, a low growl building in his chest. The footsteps stopped. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness. Found Tom. Held steady. Evening, Mr. Mercer. The voice was familiar. Tom had heard it just a few days ago at the town council meeting he'd attended out of boredom. Mayor David Kessler stepped into view. 62 years old. Silver hair. Well-maintained tan even in October. Expensive jacket. Confident smile. But his eyes were cold. That's quite a hole you've dug there, Kessler said. Looking for something? Tom didn't answer. His mind was calculating distances, exits, options. Kessler's smile widened. Betty Parsons called me, said you'd been asking about the community center, about Emily Holloway. I thought to myself, now why would a retired detective from Chicago be interested in a 20-year-old missing persons case? Just curious. Curious. Kessler stepped closer. The flashlight beam never wavered. You know what they say about curiosity. Gunnar's growl deepened. Kessler stopped, looked at the dog. That's a police dog, isn't it? Canine unit? He's retired. Like you. Kessler's voice was pleasant, conversational, like they were discussing the weather. I did some research after Betty called. You had quite a career. Good detective. Made some big cases. Then that thing with the Foster investigation. That was unfortunate. Tom's jaw tightened. The Foster case. The one that ended his career. The one that proved even good cops could be corrupted when the pressure was high enough. What do you want, Kessler? I want to know what you found. Nothing. That box says otherwise. Tom shifted his weight. The ammunition can was heavy in his hands. Gunnar was coiled tight, ready to attack on command. Kessler sighed. Mr. Mercer, Tom. Can I call you Tom? Let me be direct. I know Walsh hid evidence somewhere on this property. I've known for 20 years. I've looked. Had people look. Never found it. But you did. Your dog did. So that evidence can't see the light of day. You understand? Too many lives would be ruined. Too many families destroyed. For something that happened 2 decades ago. Something that can't be changed. Emily Holloway's life was ruined. That was tragic. A terrible accident. Accident. Yes. Kessler's voice hardened. An accident. And it will remain an accident, because that evidence you're holding, it's going to disappear. Just like Walsh's car disappeared. Just like Emily disappeared. Just like you're going to disappear if you're not smart about this. Tom felt his heart rate slow. The old training kicking in. Fear turning to focus. He'd been threatened before. By better people. In worse situations. You're threatening a police officer. Former police officer. On medical leave. Living alone in a rental house. No family, no friends in town. A man who could easily have an accident. Tom smiled. It wasn't warm. You killed Walsh. I didn't kill anyone. Walsh drove off a wet road, his own carelessness. His brakes were cut. Were they? Kessler tilted his head. Did you examine the vehicle? Did anyone? Or did everyone just accept what they were told? Tom felt the pieces clicking together. You have someone in state police. Someone who altered the accident report. Made sure no one looked too closely. I have friends. People who understand that some secrets protect entire communities. That exposing one sin creates a cascade that destroys dozens of innocent lives. There's nothing innocent about what you did. I didn't do anything. Kessler's voice was ice now. And you can't prove otherwise. Because that evidence you're holding is going in the fire, along with anything else Walsh hid, and you're going to forget you ever found it. Or what? Or accidents happen. To people, to dogs, to old houses with faulty wiring. Gunner barked, sharp, warning. Kessler looked at the dog. I grew up with German shepherds, beautiful animals, loyal. It would be a shame if something happened to... Tom didn't let him finish. He grabbed the shovel with one hand, the ammunition can with the other, started backing away. Gunner, guard. The dog moved, not attacking, but positioning himself between Tom and Kessler, every muscle ready, teeth visible. Kessler raised his hands. This is a mistake, Mercer. So was letting you see me here. Where are you going to go? To the police? I am the police in this town. State police? I've got friends there. FBI? On what evidence? A letter from a dead detective and a video you can't authenticate? Tom kept moving, back toward his house. Gunner pacing backward with him, never breaking eye contact with Kessler. I'm a patient man, Kessler called. But my patience has limits. You have 24 hours to bring me that evidence. After that, I can't protect you. Tom didn't answer. He turned and ran. Gunner ran with him, through the trees, across the yard, into the house. Tom locked the doors, pulled the curtains, set the ammunition can on the kitchen table next to the duffel bag. His phone was ringing. Unknown number. He didn't answer. Gunner was at the back door, pacing, alert. Tom looked at the evidence, at the letter, at the videotape he hadn't watched yet. Kessler was right about one thing. Tom couldn't go to local police, couldn't trust state police, had no idea if FBI agent Kirkland was still in Springfield, still alive, still trustworthy after 20 years. But Walsh had left a roadmap. Instructions, evidence, and Tom Mercer was still a detective, maybe retired, maybe broken, but still a detective. He wasn't giving up. Not on Emily, not on Walsh, not on the truth. He picked up his phone, called Marcus Chen. Chen, that laptop I'm sending you? Rush job. I need everything on it, and I need it yesterday. Okay. Why do I feel like you're about to tell me something that's going to make me regret answering? Because you're smart. What did you find, Tom? Evidence of a murder, 20-year-old case, covered up by local officials, and the guy who covered it up just threatened to kill me. Silence on the line. Then, you're serious. Dead serious. Jesus. Okay, send the laptop. I'll prioritize it. But Tom? Yeah? Be careful. Guys who get away with murder for 20 years have gotten very good at it. I know. Tom hung up, looked at Gunnar. We need to watch that second video. But not here. Not now. Somewhere safe. The dog's tail moved. Agreement. Tom packed the evidence. All of it. The duffel bag, the ammunition can, the photographs, the letter, both tapes. He loaded it into his truck. Gunnar jumped into the passenger seat. Tom started the engine, looked at his house one last time, the place he'd thought would be his refuge. Maybe it still would be. But not tonight. Tonight, they were running. Tomorrow, they'd fight back. Tom drove for 2 hours. No destination in mind. Just a way. He kept checking his mirrors, looking for headlights that followed too long, cars that appeared too often. Nothing obvious. But that didn't mean nothing was there. At midnight, he pulled into a motel outside of Jefferson City, the kind of place that took cash and didn't ask questions. The desk clerk barely looked up from his phone. Room 112, ground floor, parking spot right outside. Always have an exit plan. Tom brought the evidence inside. Gunnar checked every corner of the room before settling near the door. Tom set up his laptop, found the capture card, connected the video player, loaded the second tape. November 3rd, 2005, full recording. Tom pressed play. The first 15 minutes were the same footage Tom had already seen. Kessler confronting Emily, the grab, the struggle. Then the camera angle shifted. Walsh must have had multiple cameras hidden in the room. This one showed what happened next. Emily broke free from Kessler, ran to the door, but someone was blocking it. A woman. Tom recognized her from the surveillance photos. Angela Chen, the high school teacher. Emily tried to push past. Chen grabbed her, held her. Kessler approached. Emily was crying, begging. I won't tell. I promise. Just let me go. Kessler's voice was calm. Too calm. You already told someone. You showed them the video on your phone. I deleted it, I swear. Did you send it to anyone? No, I promise, please. Kessler held out his hand. Give me your phone. Emily hesitated, then pulled it from her pocket, handed it over. Kessler scrolled through it, checking, verifying. Then he looked at Chen, nodded. Chen's grip on Emily tightened. Kessler put the phone in his pocket. You're a smart girl, Emily, but you're also a liability, and I can't afford liabilities. I won't say anything, I swear on my life. I know you won't. What happened next happened fast. Chen put her hand over Emily's mouth, held tight. Emily struggled, kicked, tried to scream through the hand. Kessler watched. Didn't help, didn't intervene, just watched. Emily's struggles weakened, then stopped. Chen held her for another 30 seconds, then let go. Emily's body crumpled to the floor. Kessler checked her pulse, nodded. She's gone. Chen was shaking. Oh God, what did we do? We protected ourselves, protected our families, protected our community. Kessler's voice was steady, clinical. Now we need to dispose of the body. The video continued, showing them wrapping Emily in a plastic tarp, carrying her out through the back door, loading her into Kessler's car trunk. Then the camera angle changed again, showing the parking lot, Kessler's car driving away, taillights disappearing into the night. The timestamp read 12:47 a.m. The video ended. Tom sat in the motel room staring at the blank screen. He'd seen a lot of terrible things in his career. Murders, beatings, abuse, the worst humanity had to offer. But this was different. This was premeditated, calculated, cold. And the people who did it had spent 20 years living normal lives, holding positions of power, raising families, sleeping soundly, while Marcus Holloway had died of a broken heart, while Emily's body had been disposed of like garbage, while Walsh had been murdered to keep the secret buried. Tom looked at Gunnar. The dog was watching him, waiting. "We're not letting this go," Tom said. "Whatever it takes, we're getting justice." Gunnar's tail thumped against the floor. Tom pulled out his phone, searched for FBI Springfield office, found the main number, wrote it down. Then he searched for Special Agent Robert Kirkland. The results made his stomach drop. Robert Kirkland, retired 2015, moved to Arizona, died 2019, heart attack, another dead end. But Tom wasn't finished. He searched for FBI agents currently assigned to Springfield, found a name, Special Agent Sarah Mendoza, Civil Rights and Public Corruption Division. That would work. Tom composed an email, attached scans of Walsh's letter, detailed everything he'd found, explained the evidence, requested a meeting. He hit send. Then he copied the video files from the tapes onto his laptop, uploaded them to 3 different cloud storage accounts, made backups, sent links to Chen, to an attorney he knew in Chicago, to a journalist who'd covered his cases, insurance. If something happened to Tom, the evidence would still exist. If Kessler thought he could bury this again, he was wrong. Tom lay back on the motel bed. Didn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling and waited for dawn. Gunnar stayed by the door, alert, watching, protecting the man who'd finally given him something worth protecting. Morning came gray and cold. Tom's phone buzzed at 6:47 a.m., email notification. Special Agent Sarah Mendoza, FBI. Subject, R.E. Emily Holloway case. Urgent. Tom opened it. "Mr. Mercer, I received your email and attachments at 2:34 a.m. I've spent the past 4 hours reviewing the evidence. This is exactly what it appears to be. Documentation of murder and conspiracy involving public officials. I'm driving to Jefferson City now. I'll be at your location by 10 a.m. Do not leave the motel. Do not contact anyone else. Do not let anyone enter your room. If you feel threatened or unsafe, call 911 and request FBI support. This ends today. S.A. Sarah Mendoza." Tom read the email 3 times, then showed it to Gunnar like the dog could read. 4 hours, Tom said. "We just need to make it 4 more hours." Gunnar didn't look convinced. Neither was Tom. He got up, showered, made coffee with the motel room's ancient machine, fed Gunnar from the bag of food in the truck. They waited. At 8:15 a.m., Tom's phone rang. Unknown number. He didn't answer. It rang again. Same number, again. Tom finally answered, said nothing. "Mr. Mercer," Kessler's voice. Calm, pleasant. "I hope you slept well." Tom ended the call. It rang again. "Hanging up is rude. I just want to talk. I don't have anything to say to you. You have evidence that belongs to me. Evidence that's going to cause a lot of unnecessary pain if it goes public. It's already public. Sent it to the FBI at 3 this morning." Silence on the line. Then, "You're bluffing." "Am I?" "Yes. Because you're smart enough to know that evidence without chain of custody is worthless. You dug it out of the ground. You can't prove Walsh put it there. You can't prove I'm on those videos. Could be anyone. Grainy footage from 20 years ago? My lawyers would tear it apart. Walsh's letter names you specifically. A letter from a dead man with mental health issues. He was under investigation for falsifying evidence. Did you know that? His own department was ready to fire him when he died. Tom felt his chest tighten. That's a lie. Is it? Check the records. Detective Walsh was troubled, unstable, making accusations against prominent citizens with no evidence. He was a liability. And liabilities get dealt with. By killing him. By letting him drive drunk on a rainy night. By letting nature take its course. You admitted it. I'm recording this call. Kessler laughed. No, you're not. You're on a burner phone in a motel in Jefferson City. You think I can't find you? You think I don't have resources? Tom felt cold. He looked out the window. The parking lot was empty. But that didn't mean it was safe. What do you want, Kessler? I want you to reconsider. Think about what's at stake. Your career is already over. Your reputation is already damaged. Do you really want to die for a girl who's been dead for 20 years? A girl whose own father is dead? Who has no family left to care? Justice doesn't have an expiration date, doesn't it? After 20 years, evidence decays. Witnesses die. Memories fade. What exactly do you think the FBI is going to do? Even if they believe you, and that's a big if, what can they prosecute? The statute of limitations has run on most of the charges. Murder is the only thing left. And good luck proving murder without a body. You just confessed. Did I? I don't recall confessing to anything. I recall speaking hypothetically about a tragic accident that occurred 20 years ago. Tom's grip on the phone tightened. The video shows Angela Chen murdering Emily. Does it? Or does it show someone who looks like Angela Chen in footage that could be from any time, any place, featuring people who could be anyone? Digital evidence is so easily faked these days. This was recorded on mini DV tape. Even easier to fake. Come on, Mr. Mercer. You were a detective. You know how this works. Evidence needs to be airtight. Chain of custody needs to be perfect. Witnesses need to be credible. And you? You're a retired cop with PTSD living alone in a strange town, digging up evidence from an abandoned playground. How credible does that sound? Tom didn't answer, because Kessler was right. Not about the truth, but about how it would look, how a defense attorney would spin it. I'm offering you a deal, Kessler continued. Bring me the evidence, all of it. Walk away. I'll make sure you're compensated. Enough to live comfortably for the rest of your life. Enough to disappear if that's what you want. All you have to do is forget you ever found anything. And if I don't, then you'll have an accident, like Walsh, and no one will question it. Because men like you have accidents all the time. Drink too much. Get careless. Make mistakes. And there won't be any evidence because I'll make sure of it. You're threatening me again. I'm offering you a choice. Life or death. Comfort or pain. It's simple. Tom looked at Gunnar. The dog was staring at the door. Every muscle tense. Then Tom heard it. The sound Gunnar had detected. Footsteps outside. Multiple people, approaching fast. Make the right choice, Mr. Mercer, Kessler said. Then hung up. Tom dropped the phone, grabbed the evidence, shoved it in his backpack. Gunnar, come. The door exploded inward. 3 men, not police, private security, dressed in tactical gear, moving with military precision. Tom went for his gun, realized he'd left it in the truck. Stupid. Careless. The first man tackled him. Tom fought, threw an elbow, connected. The man stumbled back. Gunner attacked, launched himself at the second man. Teeth found flesh. The man screamed. The third man had a taser, aimed at Tom. Tom rolled. The prongs missed, hit the wall, sparked. Tom grabbed the lamp from the nightstand, swung hard, caught the man in the jaw. He went down, but the first man was back up, bigger, trained. He had Tom in a headlock before Tom could react. Tom couldn't breathe. His vision started to blur. He saw Gunner fighting the second man, saw blood, didn't know whose. Then he saw the door. Another figure entering. Female, federal jacket, gun drawn. FBI, let him go! The man holding Tom hesitated. Tom used the moment, drove his elbow back, hard, into the man's ribs, once, twice, 3 times. The grip loosened. Tom broke free, gasped for air. Special Agent Sarah Mendoza had both men on the ground in under 10 seconds. Cuffed, faces pressed into the cheap carpet. The third man tried to run. Mendoza's gun tracked him. I wouldn't. He stopped. Mendoza keyed her radio. This is Mendoza. I need backup at the Jefferson City Motor Lodge, room 112. 3 suspects in custody. Possible assault on a federal witness. Send medical. She looked at Tom. You okay? Tom nodded. Couldn't speak yet. Just nodded. Mendoza looked at Gunner. The dog had released the second man and was standing over him, growling. The man's arm was bleeding badly, but he wasn't moving. That your dog? Yeah. Good dog. Gunner's tail wagged once. Mendoza secured the scene, checked the men for weapons, found 2 pistols and a knife, threw them in the bathroom. Then she looked at Tom again. The evidence? Tom pointed to his backpack on the bed. Everything's there. Letters, videos, photos. Walsh documented everything. Mendoza picked up the backpack, handled it carefully. This is going to chain of custody now. Federal evidence. No one touches it but me. Understood? Understood. And you? You're coming with me. Protective custody. You're a material witness now. What about Kessler? He'll be arrested by end of day, along with Angela Chen and anyone else involved. Mendoza's face was hard. But I need your statement first. Everything. How you found this. What you know. What Kessler said on the phone. I can do that. Sirens in the distance. Getting closer. Tom sat on the bed. Gunner came to him. Tom buried, his fingers in the dog's fur. Good boy. You're a good boy. The dog leaned into him. Solid, steady, real. Mendoza was on her phone, calling in the arrest warrants, coordinating with local FBI, setting the wheels of justice in motion. Tom closed his eyes, thought about Emily Holloway, 13 years old, murdered for trying to do the right thing. Thought about Walsh, killed for being a good cop. Thought about Marcus Holloway, died never knowing what happened to his daughter. Justice was coming. Late, but coming. That had to be enough. The arrest happened at 2 p.m. that afternoon. Tom watched it on the news from a safe house in Springfield. Federal marshals standing guard outside. Mendoza reviewing evidence in the next room. Mayor David Kessler was taken into custody outside his office. Camera crews everywhere. His face showed no emotion. Just the practiced calm of a man who'd spent 20 years hiding the truth. Angela Chen was arrested at the high school. She cried, covered her face, looked nothing like the woman who'd murdered a child 2 decades ago. Others were arrested too. Bill Morrison, Pastor Harold Webb. 5 more whose faces Tom recognized from Walsh's surveillance photos. The charges were extensive. Conspiracy, obstruction of justice, abuse of minors, and 1 count of first-degree murder. The news reporters were calling it the biggest scandal in Millbrook's history. The FBI was calling it a successful resolution of a cold case. But Tom knew the truth. It wasn't successful. It was just finished. Emily was still dead. Marcus Holloway was still dead. Walsh was still dead. Justice didn't bring them back. It just made sure the people who killed them faced consequences. That was something. But it wasn't enough. Tom turned off the TV, looked at Gunnar. The dog was lying at his feet, bandaged from the fight, but otherwise okay. The vet had said he'd heal fine. Dogs were resilient. So were people. Sometimes. Mendoza entered the room. She looked tired. "You doing okay?" "Yeah. Your testimony will be crucial. Defense attorneys are already making noise about evidence tampering, about you planting the duffel bag, about Walsh being unreliable. Let them make noise. The video speaks for itself." "It does. But juries are unpredictable, especially in a case this old." She sat down across from Tom. "I want you to be prepared for this to get ugly. Kessler has resources, lawyers, friends in high places. He's going to fight. Let him fight. We have the truth. Truth doesn't always win." Tom met her eyes. "It did today." Mendoza smiled, tired but genuine. "Yeah, it did." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Mendoza stood. "You can go home tomorrow. We'll have security outside your house for a few weeks. Just until the trial. After that, you'll be safe." "What about Kessler?" "No bail. Murder charge. He's not going anywhere." "Good." Mendoza left. Tom was alone with Gunnar and his thoughts. He thought about the first time he'd stood in that overgrown field, looking at the abandoned playground, having no idea what he was about to find. He thought about Walsh, hiding evidence, knowing he was running out of time, hoping someone would find it. Someday. 20 years later, someone did. Because a dog wouldn't go near a playground, because instinct didn't lie, because some truths refused to stay buried. Tom reached down, scratched Gunnar behind the ears. "You did good, boy. You did real good." Gunnar's tail thumped against the floor. Outside, the sun was setting, orange and gold through the safe house windows. Beautiful, indifferent. The world kept turning no matter what humans did to each other. Tom closed his eyes. For the first time in 8 months, he slept without nightmares. The trial took 8 months to start. Tom testified on day 4, spent 6 hours on the stand, explaining how he found the evidence, what it contained, what Walsh's letter said, what Kessler had threatened. The defense attorney tried to break him, questioned his credibility, his motives, his mental health, brought up the Foster case, suggested Tom had planted the evidence to redeem his career. Tom didn't break. He told the truth. Simple, direct, unwavering. The video testimony was played for the jury, all 90 minutes. The courtroom was silent. Some jurors cried. Others looked away. But they all watched. When it was over, there was no question what had happened. Emily Holloway had been murdered. Angela Chen had done it. Kessler had ordered it. Others had helped cover it up. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty, on all counts, for all defendants. Kessler got life without parole. Chen got 30 years. The others got sentences ranging from 5 to 20 years. Justice, late but real. Tom moved back to Millbrook after the trial. He didn't have to. Mendoza had offered to help him relocate. New town, new identity, fresh start. But Tom was done running. He bought the rental house, fixed it up, painted the walls, planted a garden, made it home. Gunnar approved. The town treated Tom differently now. Some people thanked him, others avoided him. Most just nodded when they passed on the street. Awkward, uncertain, grateful but unsure how to show it. Tom didn't need thanks. He'd done what needed doing. That was enough. The playground was demolished 6 months after the trial. The town council voted unanimously. They were going to build something new, a memorial park, with a plaque honoring Emily Holloway and Detective James Walsh, and every person who'd ever fought for the truth, even when it cost them everything. Tom attended the dedication ceremony, stood in the back, didn't speak, just witnessed. Afterward, a woman approached him. Older, gray hair, kind eyes. She introduced herself as Martha Holloway, Marcus's sister, Emily's aunt. "Thank you," she said simply. "You gave my brother peace, even if he wasn't alive to receive it. I'm sorry it took so long. 20 years is a long time, but truth doesn't have an expiration date." She smiled, sad but real. Emily would be 33 now, maybe married, maybe with children. We'll never know who she would have become, but at least now we know what happened to her. At least now she can rest. Tom nodded, couldn't speak, emotion thick in his throat. Martha reached down, patted Gunner's head. "And thank you, brave dog. You found what no one else could find." Gunner's tail wagged. Martha left. Tom stood in the memorial park, looking at the new playground equipment. Bright colors, safe materials, built on ground that used to hold secrets. Not anymore. Now it just held memory and hope, and the promise that some truths will always surface, no matter how deep they're buried. Tom still walks Gunner every morning. They follow the same path, through the yard, into the tree line, past the memorial park. Gunner doesn't react anymore, doesn't sit, doesn't stare. The thing he'd been sensing is gone, found, exposed, resolved. Tom thinks about Emily often, about Walsh, about the cost of justice, about the weight of truth. He thinks about his own past, the foster case, the mistakes he made, the career he lost. Maybe he'd come to Millbrook to hide from all that, to escape, to forget. But Gunner had other plans. Dogs have a way of knowing what you need, even when you don't know it yourself. They sense truth. They detect lies. They find what's hidden. And sometimes, if you're lucky, they remind you who you used to be. Before the mistakes, before the failures, before the retreat. A person who fought for justice, who didn't give up, who did the right thing even when it was hard. Tom Mercer is that person again. Not because he planned it, not because he wanted it, but because a dog wouldn't go near a playground, and because some truths demand to be found. 3 years later, Tom gets a call from Special Agent Mendoza. "Thought you'd want to know," she says. Angela Chen made a full confession, gave up locations, details, everything. Tom sits up. Gunner lifts his head from the dog bed, alert. "Go on." "They found Emily's remains, buried property 3 miles outside town. Kessler owned it through a shell corporation. They're bringing her home. Proper burial, beside her father." Tom closes his eyes. "Thank you for telling me." "There's more." Mendoza's voice changes, softer. "Chen said Walsh confronted her 2 days before he died. Said he had everything, was going to arrest everyone. She panicked, told Kessler, and Kessler had him killed. Yeah, cut his brake lines, made it look like an accident. Chen knew, lived with it for 20 years. She said she's glad it's over, glad she can finally tell the truth." Tom doesn't respond, just breathes, processes. "Tom, you still there?" "Yeah, I'm here." "You did good." You know that, right? You finished what Walsh started. You got justice for Emily, for him, for everyone. Took long. Enough. Better late than never. Tom smiles, tired, but real. Yeah, better late than never. They talk for a few more minutes, then hang up. Tom sits on his porch, Gunner at his feet, the sun setting over Millbrook, a town that used to hide secrets, a town that now faces truth, a town where a retired detective and a retired canine found something no one else could find, because they were paying attention, because they didn't give up, because justice matters, even when it takes 20 years. The memorial service for Emily Holloway is held on a Saturday in June. Warm, sunny, the kind of day that makes you believe in good things. Tom attends, sits in the back. Doesn't draw attention, just witnesses. The whole town comes. Not just the people who knew Emily, but the people who need to remember her, who need to acknowledge what happened, who need to prove they're better now. Martha Holloway speaks. She talks about her niece, about her brother, about loss and grief and the long road to healing. She talks about Detective Walsh, about his dedication, his courage, his sacrifice. She talks about Tom Mercer and his dog, about how sometimes justice comes from unexpected places, from strangers who care, from animals who sense truth. At the end, she invites anyone who wants to speak to come forward. Tom doesn't plan to move, doesn't plan to say anything. But Gunner stands, walks toward the front of the memorial park. Tom follows, because that's what you do when your dog leads you somewhere. You trust, you follow. Tom stands at the memorial plaque, looks at the crowd, all these faces, all these lives, all connected by a tragedy that should never have happened. He speaks. Not long, not eloquent, just true. I didn't know Emily, never met her father. Came to this town by accident. He looks down at Gunner, but my dog found something I couldn't see, led me to truth I wasn't looking for. And together we finished a job a good detective started 20 years ago. He pauses, breathes. Emily Holloway was 13 years old when she died. She tried to do the right thing, tried to expose people who were hurting others, and they killed her for it. His voice hardens. That's evil, pure and simple. Evil that hid for 2 decades because good people looked away. He looks at Martha, at the crowd, at the memorial plaque. But the thing about truth, it doesn't stay buried forever. It waits, it persists, and eventually, if you're paying attention, it surfaces. He bends down, touches the plaque with Emily's name. You deserved better. You deserved justice while the people who loved you were still alive. But you got justice eventually. And that's something. That's everything. Tom stands, walks back to his seat. Gunner follows. The service continues. Songs, prayers, tears, laughter, memory. Afterward, people come to Tom, shake his hand, thank him, tell him he's a hero. He's not. He knows he's not. He's just a man who followed his dog, who found evidence, who testified, who did his job. But if it makes them feel better to call him a hero, he won't argue. Heroes are what communities need. Stories they tell themselves to prove that good wins, that justice matters, that truth prevails. Tom Mercer isn't a hero, but Emily Holloway is, for trying to expose evil even when she knew it was dangerous. Detective Walsh is, for investigating when everyone told him to stop, for hiding evidence that would eventually set the truth free. And maybe, in a way, Gunner is, for sensing something wrong, for refusing to ignore his instincts, for leading a broken detective back to the work that defined him. Tom drives home as the sun sets. Gunnar in the passenger seat, the radio playing something soft and forgettable. They're both tired, both ready for home, for dinner, for quiet. Tom pulls into his driveway, cuts the engine, sits for a moment. "We did good," he says to Gunnar, to himself, to anyone listening. "We did real good." Gunnar's tail wags. Tom smiles. They go inside, and the door closes on a story 20 years in the telling. A story about secrets and truth, about dogs and instinct, about justice delayed but not denied. A story that proves some mysteries are solved not by those looking for them, but by those who stumble across them and refuse to look away. Tom Mercer came to Millbrook to escape his past. Instead, he found someone else's, solved it, set it right, and in doing so, found his own redemption. The playground is gone, the secrets exposed, the guilty punished, the innocent remembered, and a retired detective and his dog walk the same path every morning. But now when they pass the memorial park, they don't stop and stare. They just keep walking, because their work is done. And sometimes, that's the only reward you need. 5 years after the trial, Tom receives a letter. Handwritten, careful script, return address from a correctional facility in Illinois. It's from Angela Chen. Tom almost throws it away, almost burns it unread, but something stops him. Maybe curiosity, maybe closure, maybe the same instinct that made him a good detective. He opens it. "Mr. Mercer, you don't know me. Or rather, you know what I did. You know the worst thing I ever did. But you don't know me. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. What I did to Emily Holloway is unforgivable. I've lived with that for 25 years. I'll die with it. But I wanted you to know something. Something I've never told anyone." I tried to stop it. That night, when Kessler told me what he wanted me to do, I said no. I said we should call the police, turn ourselves in, face the consequences. He threatened my family, my children. Said if I didn't help him, accidents would happen. Houses would burn. Cars would crash. Children would disappear. So I did what he told me to do, and I've hated myself every day since. I'm not asking you to understand. I'm not asking you to care. I just wanted you to know that not everyone who does evil things is evil. Sometimes they're just weak. Sometimes they're just scared. I was weak. I was scared. And a child died because of it. You were strong. You were brave. You did what I should have done 25 years ago. You told the truth. Thank you for that. Thank you for finishing what Detective Walsh started. Thank you for giving Emily justice. And thank you for proving that sometimes good people win. Angela Chen Tom reads the letter 3 times, then folds it carefully, puts it in a drawer in his desk. He doesn't respond, doesn't need to. She doesn't want forgiveness. She wants acknowledgement, wants to be seen as more than the worst thing she ever did. Tom understands that, better than most. He was once the detective who made a mistake, who let a case go wrong, who failed someone who trusted him. That failure defined him for years, became the thing people saw when they looked at him. But it wasn't all he was. And maybe Angela Chen isn't all evil. Maybe she's mostly weak, mostly scared, mostly human. That doesn't excuse what she did, doesn't reduce her guilt, doesn't change Emily's death, but it adds context, adds nuance, adds the complexity that real life always has. Tom closes the drawer, goes to the kitchen. Gunnar is waiting for dinner. Tom fills the bowl, watches his dog eat, thinks about justice and mercy, about truth and forgiveness, about the weight we carry and the grace we receive. Life is complicated. People are complicated. Good and evil rarely come in pure forms. But some things are simple. Emily Holloway deserved to live, deserved to grow up, deserved justice. She got justice. Late, incomplete, but real. That's all Tom can give. All anyone can give. The rest is between Angela Chen and whatever God or conscience she answers to. Tom's work is done. 10 years after finding the duffel bag under the playground slide, Tom Mercer is 61 years old. Gunnar is 16. Old for a German shepherd. Slow, stiff in the mornings, but still alert. Still Tom's companion. Still the reason Tom gets up every day. They walk shorter routes now, just around the neighborhood. No more trips to the memorial park. Gunnar's legs can't handle the distance. But that's okay. They don't need to go back there. The work is done. The truth is known. The memorial stands. Tom has become part of Millbrook. Not quite accepted, not quite trusted, but respected, known. The detective who solved the town's darkest mystery. He consults sometimes. Small cases, missing items, petty thefts. Nothing serious. Just enough to keep his mind sharp, keep his skills active. Mostly he gardens, reads, sits on his porch with Gunnar and watches the world go by. It's a quiet life. Simple. Far from the chaos of Chicago. Far from the pressure of homicide investigations. It's the life he thought he wanted when he first came to Millbrook. He was wrong then. He didn't want quiet. He wanted escape. But now quiet is enough. Because it's earned. Because it's built on truth and justice and work that mattered. Tom Mercer came to Millbrook broken. He leaves it whole. Not because he wanted to. Not because he planned to. But because a dog led him somewhere he didn't want to go. And he followed. Because that's what you do. You trust your partner. You follow the evidence. You finish the job. Even if it takes 20 years. Even if it costs everything. Even if no one remembers your name after you're gone. You do it. Because justice matters. Because truth matters. Because some things are worth fighting for. Tom looks at Gunnar. The old dog is asleep now. Gray around the muzzle, peaceful, content. Good boy, Tom whispers. You're the best boy. Gunnar's ear twitches. Even in sleep, listening, aware, ready. Always ready. Tom closes his eyes, feels the sun on his face, hears birds singing in the trees. Life is good, life is simple, life is enough. And somewhere, in a memorial park in the center of town, a plaque bears the name of a girl who died too young. A girl who tried to do the right thing. A girl who got justice because an old detective and an older dog wouldn't give up. Emily Holloway, 1992 to 2005. Forever remembered, forever honored. The playground is gone, the secrets exposed, the guilty punished, but the truth remains. And that's enough. That's everything. Stories of loyalty, tales of courage, moments when ordinary people and animals do extraordinary things. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the power of truth and the importance of justice, consider subscribing to our channel. There are more stories to tell, more secrets to uncover, more truths waiting to surface. And sometimes, all it takes is someone paying attention, someone who refuses to look away, someone who follows their instincts even when it's dangerous. Because truth matters, and justice, no matter how delayed, is always worth pursuing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for believing that good can win. Until next time, remember, some mysteries solve themselves, but only if someone is brave enough to start looking.